In this module, I'll be talking about 30,000 foot level selection of data type and subgrouping. At the end of this module, you'll be able to select data types for the EPRS add-in and determine appropriate subgrouping intervals. So let's first look at a situation where we've got individual data points and there's a specification. An example of that might be in manufacturing, we select one sample a day to determine how a process is performing relative to the specification. We're looking at this as a continuous response, not whether this particular sample passes or fails specifications. If we look at the P to make 30,000 foot level metric decision tree, or as a stability assessment, we'd end up at step 3.2.12. For process capability, we'd end up on step 3.3.8. Now the Minitab EPRS-D function that we'd use is IEEE no subgroups. Now, since we have specification limits, we'd include both the upper specification limit and or the lower specification limit. Let's consider a situation where we don't have a specification. Now this might occur when we have regular occurring responses, such as profit margin, which is reported out monthly, or we might have a situation where manufacturing process has a changeover. It may not occur frequently, but the point is we're reporting every time an instance occurs. Hopefully you can see the difference between illustration 1 and 2, where now at the end of each month we're going to go in and make an X value subgrouping point, whereas in the second illustration we're going to be making a statement, or the X-axis will be only reflecting whenever a changeover occurred. Similarly with the duration of computer outage, on the X-axis we'd have just whenever an outage occurred, the time sequence from left to right. In this particular case, the 30,000 foot level metric decision tree for how stability assessment should be made is in step 3.2.8. The capability is in 3.3.7. Notice since we don't have a specification, we're reporting a median and 80% frequency occurrence. At least that's what it has by default. So in the EPRS-D function, we use IEEE no subgroups. Let's consider the situation now where we have multiple data points in a subgroup. This could be, for example, hold time in a call center, where weekly we're reporting the data because Monday always seems to be longer, and we consider that the cause variability. Another one could be the decisions on a part from a multiple cavity mold where each day a new lot of resin is received. So we don't want to view the resin composition as a source of special cause, but we want to view that as common cause. So therefore we're going to have daily reporting. We might have 10 random samples. Now again, we got to check for stability and capability. So for this particular scenario, we look at stability assessment would be as described in section 3.2.4, and the capability could be in steps 3.7 or 3.38. The Minitab function to create the chart is IEEE subgroups. So an attribute situation is when we have a lot of data, where a transaction either is satisfactory or not. And a purview of 30,000 foot level would be percentage non-conformance. Now in this particular case, you have to have a sufficient number to occur in the denominator so that we don't have zeros relative to the non-conformance rate we have for that particular process. 30,000 foot level reporting, we typically have daily, weekly, or monthly subgroup intervals for this type of situation. Again, we want to make sure that common cause variability occurs between subgroups. So if a call center experienced differences by day of the week, then the thing is we would want to subgroup it by week. Now again, we got a two-step situation, stability and then capability. So for this case, we use step 3.2.16 will help us determine how we should assess process stability, or what methodology should we use to determine if the process is stable or not. Then secondly, the process capability performance, that's in step 3.2.13. Now in the EPRS function, we use the option IEE attribute. Now we might have a situation on attribute response where things don't occur very frequently. For example, major safety incidents. So instead of reporting how many safety incidents, for example, we have every month, we really look at the time between events. Now that could be reported out as calendar days, or it could be reported out as person working days. So either one is time between events. So in our decision tree, what we'd have is stability would be step 3.2.8 and capability step 3.3.7. So in this module, we learn how to select data types, how to determine appropriate subgrouping intervals.